Hey guys, it's me, EODGamer here, and let's talk about something that's super exciting. A lot of you are very excited for this topic as well. Feixiao versus Acheron. In this video, we're going to be talking about the community comments, and I want to hear your thoughts and especially answer some of the more pressing opinions of what the community is saying. Now, of course, if you haven't seen this video where we compare both the characters, I highly recommend you check it out. I'm not going to spoil you in this story, but in this video, I want to focus on the community's comments. Your thoughts matter to me as well. That's why we are making this video. I want to hear your thoughts and explain and maybe share and bounce around ideas so we can get better informed as a community to get like more closer and tight-knit together. These videos here, although it says VS, it's not meant to be divisive in nature. It's more of a resource allocation thing and more thought-provoking rather than saying, oh, this better than that DPS, this one best. No, not saying that. My objective is not being divisive here. But let's talk about the first thing. Two popular characters, a lot of passionate people. You will see in the comments as well, a lot of people are Acheron fans, Acheron lovers, but let's talk about them. So we are sorting here by top comments, by YouTube's algorithm. It's 600 plus comments in the past 17 hours. This is crazy amount of comments. So thank you guys so much for interacting with our video as well. It does help boost it in the algorithm too. But first things first, the question with 475 likes, Acheron or Feixiao, which is the better investment? The answer is Robin. So straight up, these guys are saying, it doesn't matter whether you're pulling for Acheron, Feixiao, the two DPSs, the best choice here is Robin. We, of course, supports generally go a longer way in terms of getting power crap. They likely will still be relevant for a long period of time. For example, Jing Liu's case, who came out like way long before, and a character, for example, Fu Xuan, who came out in a similar time period. The one that stood the test of time is Fu Xuan, whereas Jing Liu is like currently not as used. In a similar vein, DPS characters likely would never be as long-term as Robin because DPS are subjected a lot more to power creep. So I agree, this is definitely a very, very good statement. But the question is, better investment might not be what you need right now as well. Because if better investment means they are better in future, why don't you just wait for the future and then you pull this character if they're going to still be relevant? Instead, get what you need right now, solve the problems that you have right now to increase your income generation from clearing content to help you go up. So if you are a player that just like support only, you will realize that you're never full clearing all the things in Memory of Chaos or all the other game modes. So if you just get one DPS that is like super strong, you increase your income and you have more ability to pull more characters in the long run. Unless you're already like 36 starring everything, but I don't think it's really possible unless you are super stacked with 4 stars. That is my thoughts. So investment is very different from value for your account, and that is the key thing in this video that I think is very important. Doesn't mean a character might be good for investment, it's the best one for you. That's why we touched it on this video to help you make a better decision too. So I'll heart it just to say that I've read the comment as well so we don't like miss anything along the way. We have another one here by Shane9968. Acheron is a hyper carry, Feixiao is a team player. The only way to make it equal is to calculate the DPS of whole team and compare them. This is a great point. I think Shane is onto something here. And the 226 people who have also upvoted his comment, it makes a lot of sense. Acheron is a character that if you think about all the supports, right? Like for example, the likes of Jiao Qiu, Pella, and all the supports that generally play with Acheron to boost her up. All your damage that you see on the screen, that massive amounts of damage, is one character. The other characters does ants damage and biting the enemy. So if you are taking that one screenshot number and compare it against a character who has team damage coming from all 4 slots and generally plays into team compositions that you have multiple DPSs, then it's not an apple-to-apple comparison. Rather, it's like Acheron E2 versus Feixiao versus Robin versus Topaz and Nabi. 3 characters for the price of one E2. As I say, E0, E0, E0. So 3 characters, you have Acheron E2, which is equivalent to 3 characters at that point already. And you can definitely see that one team has more damage distribution coming from many sources. The other one only has damage distribution coming from one. This is a great point by Shane. He's onto something. And I think that's something that a lot of people are missing. They just see Acheron screenshot damage and they're like, Feixiao does less screenshot damage than Acheron. So inferior, bad. So Feixiao is dog shit. It's not very true. I think that is a common misconception that people have. It's a great point from Shane as well. So next up, we have another comment from Timothy WX. The one who offers better investment is the one that you're playing with more. Definitely, I think that enjoyment is a huge factor. But that is very subjective. Everyone is very, very different in terms of who enjoys playing with what character more. At the end of the day, if you follow the mantra, who you like, just pull the ones that you want, don't care about anything else, you might be struggling with a little bit of content, or you might be struggling to understand why certain people are liking certain characters. So depending on what you want, there's many communities in Hoiber's, and that's what makes it very, very good. I'll also heart this comment to acknowledge that we have read this comment as well. I don't necessarily agree with better investment being the one you enjoy more, because you don't buy financial goods to help you invest in things because I like the name of Nvidia versus AMD, so I'm going to buy Nvidia. That just makes not too much investment sense in that sense, but that's my own bias because it's a profession for me. But next comment we have here is Barn Mir Yukel. I'm sorry if I'm butchering the name. His takes and comments are completely opposite. So funny, yeah, it is quite opposite because the comments that we actually mentioned in this video over here, Feixiao and Acheron, the decision between two of them, seem to digress a little bit on the comments below. Not so much the popular comments. Majority of the people actually commenting in line with what we are talking about, but the comments, some of the comments who are maybe with less upvotes here, does echo a different stance, which is maybe more geared towards a particular character, and you will see from the video as well. But thank you so much for your comments as well. I'm glad it's funny, the comments are adding value. You guys, your comments matter a lot too, even for the people, because as they watch the video, they want a second opinion. A lot of people tend to go down to the comments and read your thoughts too. So definitely you will have 400 plus people reading your comments and upvoting it here. Really nice to see as well on the channel. This is an important topic. Feixiao versus Acheron, missing a lot of Fua premium units. So to get Feixiao and a team same investment is like getting Acheron. Exactly right. So Acheron probably, like if you're looking for base copy Feixiao, maybe same investment as like Acheron getting her E2. Since I suspect Acheron will reroll in 2.6, his prediction, this comparison is important for newbies to decide which team to build. I think the key difference between, if let's say you're a super new player, this is like on the topic of a new player, right? If you're a super new player trying to decide between Acheron and Feixiao and you have no other characters in the game, the easiest character to first get started is probably going to be Feixiao between Acheron and Feixiao. Why? Because you have free characters like Mark 7 Hunt. If you pull Feixiao, you probably get Mozer as well. You have characters like Esta who speed up the whole team. So very easy you can get into Feixiao and get her moving. Then you have the flexibility of deciding, do you want to go follow up? You want to go into other team compositions with Robin? Do you want to go into specific hyper carry teams? Feixiao gives you that flexibility. Acheron is also very strong, but at E0S0, I must say that she doesn't feel as exciting as E0S1, which is equivalent to 2 characters already, E2S1, which is equivalent to 4 characters already, the equivalent if you lose like some 50-50s. So 4 characters is very different from a base copy 1 character because Feixiao does have Cruising in the Stellar Sea, the free-to-play Herta shop like code. So at different investment levels, they are very different. If you are a whale, you can splurge out a ton of money. Acheron E2S1 probably is the outperforming one, but for the equal amount of money, you might be getting a lot more characters from the Feixiao team as well. So those are my quick thoughts. And it's very important for a new player, I understand. Feixiao is also, a lot of people like forget that people that join later after Doctor Ratio don't have Doctor Ratio. Feixiao is an improvement and a good proxy for Doctor Ratio team compositions that exist. So if you're a newer player without Doctor Ratio, it does matter for your account. A lot of these comments that you see are people who have been playing a long time. They already have a proxy like Doctor Ratio in the teams he plays in. So they don't feel an urgent need. So that is one important thing that you need to keep frame. If you're a new player into the game, you must take into the mindset. The players who exist today, like in the community, might not share the same pool of characters that you have. That is something that is often overlooked. So a few more questions. I don't want this to be so long. I think it's a very nice thing. The amount of Doom post comment that write Acheron as if she was Banner are hilarious. Banner is a character in Genshin Impact, which is one of the most meta characters. Clearly as strong as that, but Feixiao mid is objectively wrong. While Feixiao does indeed need Robin, the argument makes no sense. Every DPS needs a harmony. That's how the game is. Feixiao can comfortably clear with Moze and March and Robin and make use of well-built Bronya, Sparkle instead of Robin, blah blah blah. Thank you for the comment. I think it's a very good point as well in terms of the decision making between the 2 characters. E2 of course is a whole different story. I think E2 Acheron is on a different level, but because you remove the key downsides. I have E2 Acheron myself and it is ridiculously strong. But one of the things that I think people forget is that DPS characters are not eternal. They don't last forever. Very easy to nerf a character like Acheron by just not... Enemies have too high effect rest, you can't apply debuffs as well, or you have enemies that hinder hyper carry teams. People thought Jing Liu would go on forever as well, but straight away you can see that the meta doesn't always favor the favorite DPS of the month. Sometimes it does rotate out. And as a content creator, as a person who makes these kind of investment guides, I just want to tell you and prepare you for the worst. Because if I prepare you for the worst, anything is positive, everything is a good upside for you. That's my main job. I don't hate any characters. In fact, I have more investment in Acheron, E2S1, and I also have an E6 on another account than most of you guys, I guess. So I have a lot to lose too if she gets power crap. So I'm just giving logical, and it's hard to make like logical decisions and telling you the facts when you have emotional investments in that character already. But that's my job in real world as well. So I learned to separate the two. So many videos back to back, EOD on a roll. Thank you so much for the comment as well. Gila Boy, we did put out quite a lot of useful videos. You can check it out if you're interested on the channel as well. This is of course one of the more popular ones that we are covering, the questions, and a lot of questions here, 600 plus in a matter of a day. Thank you guys so much for your comments. Feixiao still questionable. And of course, if you're finding value in this video, you like this interactivity of these kind of like answering your comments. Probably some of your comments that I'm answering that you're watching this video right now are one of them that we answered. If you appreciate this interactivity, do leave us a like, comment, and subscribe as well for more of such future content. Hit the notification bell because I tend to do this comments section very quickly after the video is released so that we can get a lot of the people who have notification loyal subscribers, loyal watchers to be able to answer your questions as quickly as we can. Feixiao, still questionable about her performance in pure fiction since she is single target. However, Acheron with Jiao can do all endgame content. This is a comment by Brown Caramel Boba. Very interesting, making me a bit hungry now for boba tea with brown caramel. As for current patch, Acheron is more profitable even though it's 800 stellar jades difference per patch. This is a great point. I think Brown Caramel Boba has a good point here, and the 20 people that upvoted this. One, of course, is a new character, so it's left to be tested, which all the guides will come out very shortly as well. You will find many, not even by myself, other content creators will also do it, and you can see and understand why we said certain things in this video too. We of course have access to certain servers, which we are still editing, in the process of editing videos, but you will see in due time as well. About her performance in pure fiction, since she's single target, Acheron, all endgame content with Jiao. So Acheron with Jiao, E0, S0 with Jiao doing all endgame content. She hits a lot very well, very nicely, but she's hyper carry in nature. Feixiao, because she is not too hyper carry, she can be played into a lot of teams. A team of Feixiao and Aventurine, Argenti is also possible because Feixiao can be played into fast and often teams. If you haven't seen the video on best teams for Feixiao, we explain there why you can use a character like Argenti to actually complement Feixiao, and then you will start to be able to address characters in the pure fiction a little bit more, especially if you want a little bit more wombo combo with two characters. So the benefit of Feixiao is flexibility. Acheron's benefit is, of course, if you have the right characters, the right cast already existing, you have invested over a long period of time, got all the characters, yes, Acheron is good at tackling all content, especially if you have E2 S1. So thank you so much for your comment, Brown Caramel Boba. Being a hunt character already limits the game modes that she excels in. This is referring to Feixiao by Baddie Pink. I have no idea how to pronounce this. Please do let me know if you're watching this video. But 151 upvotes for this one as well. Okay, so there's a lot of stigma now against like hunt characters in general. A lot of people don't really like them. A lot of people say like hunt is not really very good. But the one key thing that I think differentiates Feixiao from a lot of the other hunt characters is very similar to Boothill. She has that weakness implanting, weakness ignore kind of thing in her ultimate. While Boothill implants the weakness, a character like Feixiao straight up ignores it. When does this actually make like a difference between the two of them, and why does this matter so much? This means that any boss, any huge monster single target that you're trying to take down, you do not need to plan for other hunt characters. You just need one that can fight this boss very quickly. One character addresses all kind of hunt related content already because of that massive amount of weakness break efficiency that she does, the colorless breaking in the ultimate. And being so flexible in her team compositions means you can easily just pick out characters, put in characters in the team composition, the dual DPS standard, so that you can form a team around like a double DPS kind of thing, run them with it to tackle a lot of the different content in the game already. Hunt. So that is like what makes her good. Why Boothill and Boothill and Feixiao aside, like we are not going to talk about it in this video because I think it's irrelevant. Boothill is not even having a rerun. Maybe in future, then we will talk about that. But being a hunt character limits the game mode she can excel in. I think that Hunt, if you rewind all the way back to 1.0, Hunt was meta. Hunt was like one of the best things in the game because Zidstar could attack many times. Then slowly they rotated out to a destruction meta. They tried to bring in like nihility, erudition here and there with some buffs, but erudition didn't really make it to like the top echelons. most of it has been like a destruction nihility kind of meta for quite a long period of time already. And then we started having like follow-up teams which just bypass the whole path restriction. Topaz and Nambi is a Hun. So if you guys say that being Hun already limits the game most that she excels in, I don't know. Topaz and Nambi is bad. In the same vein, and Dr. Ratio is also Hun. So in the same vein, I think that it's very easy to stigmatize a character or like bucket them into certain categories, but you must remember that Feixiao excels in a lot of teams, and it's beyond just the character itself, but the teams that she plays in, and that's what makes her very, very strong. If you haven't seen the best teams for Feixiao, check it out. I think it will inspire you to actually think a bit more into Feixiao. So NSVAR, 100 votes here. Disagree with Feixiao being super flexible, and I'm totally appreciating comments that have a differing opinion. As long as you are polite, you are not rude and like blatantly rude, I'm totally okay with it because we are all human beings, right? She is pretty much tied to Robin, high frequency sustain like Aventurine, also works better with high frequency sub DPS buffers. Really afraid that her best in slot team is already here and won't get much better, but she has worse scaling in exchange for self buffs and tend to age worse like Jingliu. So great concerns. One of the key things that I want to talk about here is I assume frequency is talking about speed, characters that attack a lot, rather than the sound wave kind of frequency. Very nice that it's tied to Robin because it's like music frequency kind of thing. My thought process, we have other characters coming to the game. Maybe Sunday is coming up, maybe other future characters that buff your teams. In that case, definitely it could be interesting because if Sunday does get released, I don't know, I'm just throwing out thoughts. If Sunday and Robin work really well together, the likely option that they will play is into harmony. Is into either harmony-based teams, duo harmony, or perhaps maybe follow attacking buffing, or helping your team move faster. If that is like a susceptible thing, then her best teams are definitely not here. You can have better teams in future. And does she really tied to characters like Aventurine and Robin? I would say you can bypass. Robin is very good for her, don't get me wrong. But you can bypass this with a lot of the other 4-stars in the game. We talked about that more in the team composition video for Feixiao. The team comp video was of course released after this video, so a lot of people then, you can see the comments started to shift very differently from another angle once we explain why she is very versatile. So thank you again so much for your question. If you haven't seen it already, Mr. NS Bar, do check out the video on best teams for Feixiao. I think you'll find it very, very helpful too. Not fond of this characters being rerun and staying meta relevant. Not fond of the argument of characters being relevant, rerun and staying meta relevant. She was rerun and only saw Aventurine MOC 12, so I don't think that's a good way of measure quality of rerun. So the point that I was making is generally characters would still be at least relatively decent on their first rerun, so Hoyoverse would sell them a bit more. Just a quick drip of the decision, one of the comparisons here and there out of the many things that we're talking on. So a character like Jingliu's first rerun was still okay. She was coming off the high, but she wasn't so irrelevant yet. She wasn't like totally obsolete. She was still decent, and people were actually thinking of like pulling for her multiple copies or a signature. I remember it clearly back then. And after they sold the first rerun, boom, the curve just went zoom like that, where Jingliu just suddenly disappeared. So that's a very, very huge thing, a huge change that occurred. And it's a very good point, but so far from what we've seen, I think characters coming back for their first banner tend to be okay. If not, they got even better. Characters like Topaz and Nambi got even better. To some extent, Robin might have gotten a bit better as well in her first rerun, which is super fast, right? Like 5 patches or 5 banners or something like that. Ridiculously fast for Robin to come back. She self-advanced herself. That's crazy. Ridiculous. But thank you so much for your comment as well at Gerho. Really appreciate it. So, Happy Muffin, not even close. It's like comparing a puppy to a wolf. That being said, like Feixiao for design and gameplay, however, Acheron is on another level. Now, thank you so much for your comment, Happy Muffin. Now, this is echoing a lot of things that I think a lot of people who already have Acheron very invested is feeling. These people have been playing for a really long time with Acheron. They have well invested. They have doubled down into Acheron teams, completed the loop, and one of the key things that they forget is, one, you have Doctor Ratio, you have alternatives, you might have Root Heal because you've been playing for a long period of time. 2, you might be already onto your Acheron, preparing for E2S1 Acheron. You already have a best teams for her, completing it, you have used her for a while. And these people have not used Feixiao yet. They haven't played her into many teams, or perhaps they don't even have follow-up team compositions. So it's natural for a lot of people to feel that it's very different. As we mentioned, Feixiao is a team-wide effort. Acheron is I am solo, I'm going in, I'm carrying you on my back. Acheron is a very hyper carry style of nature, and they put the restriction of the team compositions to make her focus on hyper carry. Don't forget, there is a reason why Hoyoverse slapped the restriction of like double nihility into the team competition. They don't want you to play this hyper carry everywhere. Meaning, if they put this restriction, they can very well sell you a solution for it, or they can instigate a problem which cuts her off completely in future as well. So that is something that is very, very important to know, that I think people are not realizing that it's a risk and there's a reason for that. Feixiao, on the other hand, is a lot more flexible. I'm not a salesman, I don't get commission. I have Acheron very well invested as well on both of my accounts. But Feixiao, one of the key things about her that is very good, she fits into many teams, she can be played with many free-to-play characters, and for people that do not have doctor ratio because you joined later on, Feixiao is just a very, very good replacement for majority of the teams that he's in. The only exception is debuff teams, which hardly is played outside of follow-up attacking teams for doctor ratio. So those are my thoughts. Thank you so much for the comment again. Happy Muffin. Acheron not even close. In your honest opinion, I'll also heart it, not because I agree, but because I read it already. This is by YR1905. These people are obviously very, very avid supporters of Acheron, and I agree, Acheron is very, very solid too. If you have her at E2 S1, I think Acheron just stomps ridiculous content. Good at single target versus good at single target in AoE. In that aspect, Acheron is better. Now, one thing that people forget is Feixiao is not fully single target. Whenever your teammates attack another monster, Feixiao can also follow up, and you obliterate units so fast by smashing them into pieces that if you have a lot of AoE units, like every single monster is AoE, yes, Feixiao will struggle. Especially if you only have one Feixiao and you're trying to run a hyper carry similar to Acheron. But people forget that Feixiao can run with a double DPS, and that other DPS can hitch anything that Feixiao is weak against. For example, AoE, you have Argenti inside, you have Servile to tackle some of the smaller AoE squishies, and then Feixiao just tackles the big boss. So if the game style changes to one big boss, or few big bosses, few mobs to clear, Feixiao will just destroy the content. Acheron still does struggle against like very, very thick enemies, like one thick enemy, two thick enemies kind of thing. And especially if they are not weak to lightning. So far, the monsters have relatively been quite weak to lightning. But if we rotate out of the meta, we shift into wind weakness, enemies are no longer weak to lightning, I think you will start to feel that Acheron starts to fall off a little bit. But whereas Feixiao can tackle any weakness of the enemy that has, because even in a non-weakness enemy that she's attacking, she does like 50% on the elite enemy's weakness break bar with her ult. That's like very, very high without run me as well. So very, very strong. So thank you for your comment as well, Lalo Salt, and I really appreciate all of your comments so far. Let's try to do one more here by Brad Zido 3950, and Fix is Acheron or follow-up. There is no nuke for follow-up. Acheron is the nuke for debuff. Firefly for break. I am not understanding this question. Did I find out she's color break as well? That changes things for me. I am sorry if you can explain a bit more. Maybe I'm not understanding, and the 7 people who upvote it as well. Let's do one more because I really can't understand this question, and I'm putting it in here because I want it a bit more natural. Doom posting in these comments are hilarious. Almost guarantee that she will be broken. I don't necessarily agree that these are Doom posting. I think it's just people expressing their opinions. But for whatever it is, I think it's always nice. For some reason you haven't picked up Acheron, no need to call me out. I had to skip her for Aventurine. Very nice to see that. If you're wondering when Acheron is coming back, probably going to be 2.6, and I think that's pretty good ending point here. I want you to check out this predictions video, which we talked a little bit more about what characters are coming back, when Acheron we feel is coming back, and the reasoning behind it. Otherwise, if you haven't seen the best teams for Feixiao video, this video will help you actually give you a lot more opinions on the flexibility of Feixiao to help you get a wider opinion. And thank you guys again so much for watching. See you next video.